In Book 12 of the Odyssey, Odysseus continues describing the long and dangerous voyage that separates him from his home in Ithaca. His crew has already survived terrifying encounters, yet the threat in this episode comes from a decision they are warned not to make. On the island of the sun, hunger, fear, and exhaustion challenge the sailors' discipline. They know that the cattle are sacred, but their suffering pushes them to ignore the command. What follows is a powerful sequence of temptation, divine anger, disaster at sea, and Odysseus's lonely battle to stay alive. At first, the men obey Odysseus's warning and do not touch the sacred cattle. As long as their grain and drink remain, they have enough to survive. When the last supplies disappear, however, their situation changes completely. The sailors go farther from the ship with hooks and lines, catching birds and taking whatever food they can find because they are starving. Odysseus leaves the shore to pray for a way out of their trouble. He washes his hands, asks the gods for help, and then falls into a deep sleep. His absence creates the moment in which the hungry crew will make its most dangerous decision. While Odysseus sleeps, Eurylochus speaks to the desperate sailors. He says that every death is terrible, but dying slowly from hunger is the worst fate of all. He argues that they should drive in the finest cattle and sacrifice them to the immortal gods. If they ever return to Ithaca, he promises, they can build a rich temple for the sun and fill it with gifts. Yet he also says he would rather die quickly at sea than starve on the island. The crew accepts his argument. Their choice reveals how fear and physical suffering can make people believe that breaking a clear rule is their only possible answer. The sailors bring in the finest cattle and prepare a sacrifice. Their resources are so limited that they use young oak shoots instead of barley meal, and they use water because there is no wine for the traditional offerings. They pray, kill the cattle, prepare the thigh bones with fat, and cook the meat over the fire. The scene is important because the crew tries to give its wrongdoing the appearance of a proper religious act, but the ritual cannot remove the fact that the cattle belong to the sun and that Odysseus had warned them not to harm a single one. Their hunger explains their behavior, but it does not free them from the consequences. Odysseus wakes from his deep sleep and begins walking back toward the ship. Before he reaches the shore, he smells the roasted meat and understands what has happened. He prays to the gods in frustration because his men have acted while he was absent. At the same time, Lampetia, the guardian of the cattle, tells the sun that Odysseus's crew has killed the animals he loves most. The sun becomes furious and demands punishment. He threatens to stop shining among the gods unless the sailors pay for their crime. Jupiter answers that he will destroy their ship with a lightning bolt once they return to the sea. When Odysseus reaches the ship, he rebukes each sailor that he cannot bring the dead cattle back. Then the gods begin sending frightening signs. The hides seem to crawl, the pieces of meat on the spits appear to low like living casts, and the food makes animal sounds whether it is cooked or raw. These warnings make the crew's danger impossible to ignore. Still, for 6 days they continue taking the best cattle and feasting on them. When the 7th day comes and the fierce wind becomes calmer, the men see a chance to leave the island. Instead of recognizing the con as a final opportunity to repent, they raise the mast, set the sail, and continue toward the punishment already promised. Soon after the ship is far from the island, Jupiter covers it with a black cloud and the sea turns dark. A violent western squall breaks the foresays and throws the mast backward. The falling mast kills the helmsman, while the ship's gear crashes through the vessel. Then Jupiter sends down a thunderbolt. The ship spins, fills with fire and brimstone, and the men fall into the water around it. None of them will reach home. Odysseus alone survives by staying with the wreckage. When the ship breaks apart, he ties the mast and keel together with a strong ox-hide backstay and sits astride the broken pieces, allowing the winds and waves to carry him onward. The sea carries Odysseus back toward Charybdis, the deadly whirlpool he fears most. When the whirlpool sucks down the water and pulls his raft away, he is thrown toward a fig tree above the pool. He clings to its branches like a bat and waits patiently, even though he cannot find secure ground beneath his feet. After a long time, the whirlpool releases the mast and raft. Odysseus lets go, falls near the wreckage, and continues alone. For 9 days the waves carry him across the sea. On the 10th night, he reaches the island of Calypso. Book 12 teaches that warnings matter. Desperate actions have consequences, and courage can mean enduring with patience until the chance to survive finally returns.